about my father from my perspective, spanning the last 3 decades of a service that spans 3.5 decades. And this is going to be a bit of a longer presentation, and I hope you can stay tuned and let me know if you're getting bored so that I can speed up in between or crack a joke maybe. So these first 2 pictures are of my father, which were taken by my mom and by somebody else who I don't know. And this was in the beginning of his career, 35 years ago. So he had everything, but he didn't have his father. And what I have come to understand is that he is very, very close to the memories that he has made with his father for the time that his father was there, for the first 18 years of his life. And I think a lot of things inspired him to follow in his footsteps, to follow in the goodness that his father left behind, which I hear so much about when I go to my hometown Bihar. And my father's elder brother, my Bade Papa, has so many stories to tell. He in fact takes me to my grandfather's place of work and he calls it his place of worship. So he makes us actually give our homage to my grandfather's work there. And the other picture is taken when my father cleared his exams, and I think he was in academy, and that badge there says that he is a civil servant. So initially he got married to my mom, and at that time he was in the railways, and these are some pictures from the time that you do your academy training and you go about making friends and understanding different persons' perspectives, because finally you have to work with them and coordinate and make things work. These are some other pictures of the friendship, the camaraderie that he has made over the years. And probably this is one of my favorite pictures because it shows him one early morning in contemplation in the middle of hills and across the valleys.
Maybe it was very cold.
Yeah, probably. So this is one of the stories that he talks about, that there was this one log of wood during his training period that he had to cross, and you had nothing. You didn't have supportive straps, you didn't have anything, you just had water underneath and you could slip any moment. So there was this amazing teacher that he had. Yeah, teacher. Yeah, there was a friend who actually helped him cross it, and he was, I believe, very, very scared at that time.
Yeah.
But he eventually did it. That's the bottom line. And these are some other pictures of his academic training. There was this one thing that when I was going through all the pictures, there was this one image that I found of him trying to teach some students how to probably go about writing or something of that sort.
School attached to the academy where the local people, children used to study. There we used to go for doing our social service. It's part of that.
So this actually touched me a lot when I was going through all the pictures that I have absolutely preserved, indexed, and accordingly placed in my library. This was one more picture. And what I really liked about this one memory of it, maybe he can highlight on it, is that he was keenly listening to one old man sitting on the floor with his legs crouched. And everybody is actually ready to take a picture, but he's still listening. This picture was taken while he was in conversation. And this beginning picture of
village visit.
Yeah. So probably this picture goes to show how very much he has the tendency to listen. And I think everybody here will agree with me on that. So these were some pictures taken when I believe he was giving a speech in the academy while he was actually the literary secretary there. And
it is a jeep in Vijayanagar.
Yeah, it was our first posting there. This is the academy where his training took place, Missouri. And where people actually undergo training and interact with dignitaries and learn the art of administration from them. So this is, I believe, one of those important pictures for him. Some more pictures from the railways, after which he actually got into civil services. The reason I really like this picture is because this picture is taken from the first posting that he had, and the picture next to that is that of my brother walking in hand with my father. And it was taken on a very random note on one of those days when I believe I wasn't there, hence the other hand is empty. So yeah, lucky my brother. Yeah. But nevertheless, so a few years down the line, after 5 years, I believe when I was born, this was the first picture taken in our home when I was really small.
Why is that?
Yeah. And these were some other pictures of him pampering me, allowing me to sit on his official desk, while I believe everybody wouldn't be happy with their child sitting on the desk, since it's a place where you actually work and pass orders and government orders. But still, I was heavily pampered, and I was allowed to do whatever I liked. I was allowed to, by my father, I was allowed to do everything, anything, as long as I believed in it, I believe. So it starts with taking this phone in my hand and going on talking for hours together, even if nobody was there on the other side. And these are some pictures of him while he was doing his field work, starting something like a computer in a remote place like Karim Nagar was a very big thing.
Maner Dam.
And like you can see, I have taken away my mom's goggles. So yeah, like I was there to outshine everybody to some extent.
So the computer which was started in '94 in Hyderabad was a novelty at that time.
So one of my favorite pictures is the one that I have with my father from the first day that we had gone to Basar, and I started to write Akshar Abhyas. And I just wanted to speak one thing about my father, was that he would always come downstairs to say bye to me. Every time I would have to go to school from the very first days, and like you can see, the same thing has happened here. The trend continued to the extent that he still visits me on my first day at school, college, senior residency in NIMS, in Osmania, in ESI, and now in Osmania as well, where I have joined as an assistant professor. So these are the first pictures taken by my father on my first day at school, and this is a very precious picture to me, because I believe he's given me the greatest support, and the greatest support comes from pushing your child, not knowing where they'll actually land up, but still doing it, believing in the smallest of all tidbits of positivity that you can bring about, and knowing fully well that yeah, it has a potential to go forward, it has a potential to be something better, only if you can be behind it. So these are some other pictures. I would accompany my father on almost all of his official trips, and I cannot put up all of those, but this is from one of those days when I would go to him, I would go with him to Mussoorie, I would go with him to inaugurations, and in exchange I would get something like a bicycle, as you can see in this case, and I'd be always willing to run and fly about. And as time progressed, we had seen our father give his time to a great extent with us. He gave us a great extent of his time while pursuing all his professional duties. And a little while later, when my brother was born, and we were in Karim Nagar, we came down from Karim Nagar to Hyderabad, and I just wanted to express one small interesting event. When my brother was born, he was born in a government hospital, and the in charge of the government hospital actually asked me, would you like to come along with me and see the entire hospital? And I went with her all the way from ground floor to 4th or 5th floor, and every time I would go to the particular floor and I would see all these ward beds, they all look like skyscrapers to me, and because I was so small, and all of those looked so high to me, and I would notice all those people looking back at me, and I didn't know that one fine day I will walk into the same corridors in different places and find my home there. So that was the amount of freedom that I had that was the amount of confidence I think my father had that if he leaves me alone, I'll not run away anywhere, given the fact that I was a child. So these are some pictures taken at a dam, which I don't remember, but it was taken with the staff that worked with us. So the staff actually worked with us in tandem, and those people came along, and as you can see, we were like a family. There was no discrimination of any kind, and we were all there together as a team. These are some other pictures of our family life where we actually, afterwards, when we came back to Hyderabad, we moved back to Kadapa, and so many things that I have seen my father doing during those 3 years at Kadapa as a district collector inspired me day in and day out how well he would be able to balance his life professionally, socially, personally, and at the same time come back home, ask us how are you doing and if there's any help required with studies. And eventually he would be our in-house tuition teacher. And that's when he would always insist all of us to go ahead and pursue your dreams, but you have to study first. You have to study, and that's the foundation for anything that you want to go ahead with. Because without education, there's no meaning to whatever you want to pursue. He is a great follower of Mahatma Gandhi, and in many occasions he would felicitate, but it's not just that, he would actually follow in that footsteps, and he would see to it that the life that Mahatma Gandhi has lived, the life that he has showcased to the world, that non-violence is the difference between others and you. You can actually get to a solution and you can still get to a solution and not have to use any form of coercion, is what I noticed. Even though he was a district collector, and they used to say one thing, that district collector के लेफ्ट उंगली के इंडेक्स फिंगर पे उसकी उंगली पे पूरी डिस्ट्रिक्ट चलती है. But what I noticed is that in a very, very humbling manner, he would treat everyone. And I had such a inspiring time looking at that, because I used to go with him everywhere, almost everywhere, along with my mom, everywhere. And even then, I've seen him never misuse that. I still remember this one time when we had gone to a temple, and there was an old man in front of us, and like, you know, all VIPs come and they clear the space in front of you, the police and everybody else, they clear the space in front of you. This is old man who was walking, and the police staff was actually trying to move them around and, you know, make way for all of us actually. But he said, nahi, unko jaane do, unka bhi road hai. So yeah, those things. And the thing is that he worked as a team with everyone. These pictures are taken from the time when he was a district collector in Kadapa, and he was always interested in reading and writing and spreading the written word. And I noticed that when he published this Kadapa Calling newsletter, and at the same time he would go ahead and he would do his activities, inspect, and make sure that everything is celebrated, every moment is celebrated, every important occasion is celebrated. These are some pictures from that. But he still had time to make me tie him a Rakhi, because his sister stays so far away. And every year I would tie Rakhi to him and to my brother, and I would get double the amount of cash. And yeah, that was a very important day for me. This launch of the helipad, and I believe inspecting drought-ridden areas, all of these were a part of his curriculum. But it made it, when I went with him on all these trips, when I went, I would actually ask him, हम लोग कब घर वापस जा रहे हैं और कितना दूर है, how far is it, when are we returning home? He'd be like, नहीं, it's just here, you'll be there in some time and it will be worth it. I think the possibility to see that the smallest of all things can bring about the greatest of all differences is what I had a inkling about, because it was very small. I was about 10 years old. That's what I noticed. And these pictures were taken around that time. This surgical techniques workshop that was started by him, I got back. A patient of mine actually came up to me, and they're a doctor, they're a veterinary surgeon, and they told me that they remember attending this workshop from Kadapa days because we had organized it and nobody else did before them. So the concept of workshop in orthopedics in my profession, and a lot of people who are here from orthopedics will agree that we are only as good as we are updated. Our skills are only as good as we are updated. If you are not updated, if you're not updated with time, if you're not updated with the latest advances, then it's very difficult to survive, and it's very difficult to give the best output to a patient in exchange for their time that they're giving you. And time is the greatest thing that you can give someone. So I got back to all these points that I understood from that one female veterinary surgeon coming and telling me कि उस time पे start हुआ था. It started then, and I attended the workshop. She's pretty old now, but she told me that I am so inspired by that one day back in 99, I believe, or 2000, that it was started. 2 years she attended it, and she has not stopped attending, and she's one of the best in the country today. So the other thing was that Dr. Jarmati Hanuman Shastri was the curator of the C.P. Brown library there, and he was a gem of a person, and so was his son Dr. Vijay Bhaskar. So they actually made sure that my father's father, my grandfather's book of Man Thou Can, it's a collection of poems and sonnets on Mahatma Gandhi, which was translated into Telugu. I'll be showing the pictures in a while. These are some images of the work that this is my brother, my late brother Ankur Srivastav. In the night after we would actually cut the cake on the 1st of January, we would actually go about distributing the pieces of those cakes to destitute homes like these, to orphanages, to blind schools. And my brother and I, we followed suit. And this is a very heartwarming picture, because till date, the joy of giving is very, very understated. So when I was growing up, we had come back to Hyderabad after this, and when I was growing up, I would always ask my father, why are you giving this to them? Why are you giving so much money to them? Why are you spending so much on this scuba diving? Why are you giving me extra tips? And he would always say that you should always give, because you're not losing anything, you're always getting something back in return. And this is one of those days, one of those nights when we actually were allowed to stay up late and have fun with all the kids of our age, and it was phenomenal. So my father's colleagues, in this picture it is IPS Govind Singh uncle and Pargain uncle, who was the IFS officer. We have stayed very thick friends, and the many felicitations that he has had, he has always shared. So in this picture, basically the shawl that was given to him was put over my brother's shoulders, and it was a gesture. It was a very small gesture actually at that time, but now looking back at it, it's very big. It's very, very big, because you always want to share. The same thing he can be seen doing by giving some study materials to children. He was not just he was not just known as Akansha's father. He was actually known amongst my friend circle, as you can see here. He would interact with all the children of all ages, and that's how everybody had great terms with him, and people would actually come around to ask him to play. So he not just, when I was going through all these pictures, I noticed that there were some medical camps which were organized, and you can see a doctor there who was actually presenting something on family planning. And I remember that one time when it was arranged in a train, and the doctors were actually going about doing that, spreading knowledge about family planning at that time. So we came back to Hyderabad, and my father was in Public Service Commission, and my father, after finishing that collectorship from there, when we came here, he had all the time to spend with people and release the Man Thou Can book in the presence of the Honorable Governor at that time. These are some of the pictures. Yeah. So these are some of the pictures which were taken during his tenure while he had transitioned from Public Service Commission to MAUD, that is Municipal Administration Department, to General Administration Department, and all the time he had the greatest support of my mom, regardless of what was happening. Every up and down was shared genuinely, honestly. And this was one random picture which I have taken with my camera when they were just heading out on one of those days when we had to celebrate. So images like this, when we used to go on small camps and he would just inspect the dam. He would just, even today, when we are going on a camp, he would just inspect a nearby dairy. Work has always been on his mind and work has been his identity. But at the same time, he always encouraged us to study. My younger brother had won a very, very small, so to say, an award for writing something. But he never discouraged him. He propelled us to go forward and join medical school, and he always kept in touch with the people with whom he has shared this journey with. In this picture you can see people from Kadapa and people from MCH with whom he worked 20 years before have come to our home, and they are just meeting him on a Sunday probably, when they could have done something else. Teamwork always continues, always the inquisitiveness to move forward. He took us to his dairy development office, and we have learned everything just by watching him inspect. The inquisitiveness, the curiosity, the drive to always ask questions. And while having done that, this is a picture from my college days at the end of my graduation, at the end of my post-graduation, when he actually got a cake for me and my friends, unexpectedly as a surprise, because we had cleared our final exams, and it was a celebration to all of us. But the beginning of that was genuinely planned by my father, and we could not have been happier. These are all my friends: Sandeep, Pradeep, Sridhar, and Manikanta, Gautam. Shrikant is not in this picture. But the journey continued, and after our MS days, when I moved on, I still continued to go to his office and capture memories. This is his vast team on 15th of August 2021, when he had inaugurated the front garden in the Environment Protection Research Training Institute in Gachibowli. And I think it was the best panorama that I have ever clicked. So after that, the Mangaon camp was again revised. His father's work was again revised, and it was released again in Kadapa in the presence of all near and dear with whom he has worked all for the last 20 years. And everybody showed up, from the class 4 staff employee to the class 1 officer. And the journey doesn't end there. He always pushed me to move forward. He always pushed me to reach out to my dreams. And from my perspective, the reason I put up this image is because these are the same steps that I took in the year 2005 when I slipped from about 3 feet height while playing badminton. And I sprained my ankle, and I had gone with my father to Osmania Medical College. And I never knew that I'll be going back there again as an assistant professor. And this is that picture from that place. And we people have been through a lot, and Balraj uncle has always been by our side for the last so many years, and I cannot thank him enough to always be available at our beck and call. I think if at all there was an elder brother in town, then it has to be Balraj uncle for my father. And I absolutely, genuinely, honestly believe that Balraj uncle can be a best friend to any patient who goes to them. And he has been my father's guide for the last so many years, since 2005, from the time I tripped on my ankle. So when I was doing my post-graduation, I just wanted to mention that I had long hours for the training purpose, but I had somebody who was as close to a father figure as my HOD, and that was Chandrasekhar sir. And this picture was taken when my father was recovering, and Chandrasekhar sir had come down to meet us. And the humility, the amount of conviction and the amount of the amount of understanding that he has to treat everybody equal is at par with what my father has, and that's why I call him a father figure. And having said that, there's nothing that goes without a team. And I am an orthopedic surgeon, I'm a doctor, I work with every person, and I believe everybody is a teammate. There's no subordinate, there's no superior, everybody is a teammate. This picture is taken this evening from the same people who are at present working with my father, and officially till 12 o'clock tonight, because 31st of May, 12 o'clock is when he officially retires. And the team at this particular department, animal husbandry, fisheries, and also dairy, has been associated with us for such a short span, but they have brought to us so much warmth and so much understanding, and they have understood our shortcomings, and they have dealt with it on a very, very humble note and been by our side in our very tough time during the month of March. And I cannot thank you all enough, and I am so proud that my father got back to Secretariat and he got back to work with all of you, and I am genuinely thankful to everybody who has been with him day in and day out and helped me also to make friends and to achieve my goals in a way. So this is the team, and just wanted to tell one thing for everybody. We take pictures with people who are of our cadre, of our stature, but he takes pictures with everyone. He doesn't differentiate between कौन नीचे class का है, कौन ऊपर class का है. Everybody gets his warmth. Everybody is lucky. Everybody is blessed, and so am I. For the last 3 decades, I think there are many more pictures of this sort. But this picture was taken this morning, and like I said, this picture on the left is with a person called Mr. A.R. Jain. He was an engineer. He expired a few months back, and he was like a father figure to my father when in the last 20 years that we have been staying in Kundan Bagh. So having said that, I just wanted to say that my father is a living example of somebody who does not go by definitions of what society has put down in front of us. He actually goes about telling everybody that I'm there for you, and I'm just a phone call away, or if you wish to meet me, to come down. And this is a picture taken of his recent farewell given by his friends from his morning walkers group, with whom he has been associated for the last 20 years or so. And it has people from each and every background. You'll find engineers, you'll find lawyers, you'll find real estate managers, and you'll find funny uncle as to be one of them. But the thing is that he mingles with everyone, and that is the life that we have seen him live, and that is the life that I have acknowledged from day zero, that I believe I can recall, that he has always made sure that everybody who comes to him is comfortable enough to speak their heart out. And I, for one, have been at the receiving end for it for the last 3 decades, and I can tell you that the reason I have this tendency to speak whatever is on my mind, the reason I'm an open book, the reason I do not differentiate between the people who I have to really speak up to, or I really have to state facts to, is because facts are facts, and someday or the other you have to face it. And this is what I have understood by seeing my father, growing up with my father, and trying to never lose out on that. So this is his last, I just wanted to share his last morning with all of you when he was sitting on his chair. And I have sat on it multiple times, and so has my brother, and trust me, it is pretty comfortable. But the responsibilities that come with it are far too many. And how to handle that is what I have seen in the most subtle way, because I have been on the other side. I have been sitting in the ante room, or I have probably been sitting on one of the sofas next to the main table, and I have always seen him deal with things in the way that is appropriate for that situation. I have seen him deal with the particular person in the way they would like to be dealt with, but still get the job done according to the rules and regulations, because you shouldn't go against the rule book. Following those ethics, I believe he has come to where he is today. And this picture is taken just a few hours ago, and he is signing the handover orders from the particular department in which he is. I don't know the technical name. Yeah. Charge taking certificate, right. So this is a charge taking certificate that he's signing, and I have been so lucky to be by his side for the last 3 decades, and to see him sign that with all happiness, with all bliss, is what makes me happy. And I hope I can reach to that day where I am happy sitting on that chair, on whatever chair I happen to sit. I can bring about meaning to it. I can do justice to it, and not just be swayed away by the comfort that the chair offers you. Always go ahead and challenge yourself. Always go ahead and experience how beautiful it can be to maybe try out something new and try out something different. Initially it's difficult, but like always, the first steps are always difficult. And the greatest thing that I believe we can give somebody is our time. And for everybody who has been associated with him, he has given him his time, and I am so happy that in my personal journey, in my professional journey, in my social journey, he has been with me like my rock. He is my rock. And I'm sure that if I were to extend this note to somebody, it would be to everyone around, whoever has been associated with him. And I would like to take this moment to tell that his greatest love is for reading and writing like his father. His father has published 20 novels, 20 books in poetry, and this was before 1979. And he has written 7 volumes of Ramayana in the last 2 years during COVID times. And I would just like to take a moment to tell all of you that I got him the first notebook to start writing in. And I am so happy that all of these volumes are now typed and they are all ready for publication, and that is his greatest achievement during the time that he has spent either at home, work from home, away from home, and everywhere. That his mind was always into reading and writing, and I am sure that other than the short novels, the short stories and poems that he has written on something on pigeon and other things, he can go ahead and he can publish this on a platform other than Juggernaut. So this will be out in a few months hopefully, and I would be more than glad to extend a copy to everybody. And I hope I have read in his absence. I stay up late, I stay up very late, and I read. And one of the things that I take a lot of respite from reading orthopedics, even though I love it with all my heart, is reading the work written by him. And he has written it beautifully, and I have done it when he was asleep, and like a night owl, I have finished all the 7 volumes successfully. Yes, I have finished. But yeah, this is another surprise for him. So yeah, this is the last image that was taken of him while giving a speech on 15th of August last year in EPTRI, and this image is taken just while we were leaving Secretariat. So he's standing next to the image of Mahatma Gandhi, and it says, "My life is my message." And definitely it is. It is. And I am so happy that he has brought meaning to the word, my life is my message to me, so that I can do something better, and I hope I can do at least 1% of what he has done to the volume of people that have associated with him along public service grounds, because I am a doctor. But before that, I am his daughter, and I'm Akansha, and I'm so happy all of you have come and listened to me so peacefully, so patiently, and it really means a lot to me. So thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much. Here to talk about my father from my perspective, spanning the last 3 decades of a service that spans 3.5 decades. And this is going to be a bit of a longer presentation, and I hope you can stay tuned and let me know if you're getting bored, so that I can speed up in between or crack a joke maybe. So these first 2 pictures are of my father, which were taken by my mom.